Now, while I was at the Hilton Foundation, I got to know a bit about this man, Conrad Hilton, who was the founder of the Hilton Foundation. He left most of his estate to form the foundation. And at the time, he was one of the best known businessmen in America. And one of his values was to always create a win-win deal. He never wanted to gouge the other party. He wanted both parties to come out of a transaction feeling like they got a good deal. Win-win. Now, in the philanthropic and social sector, it doesn't always feel win-win, right? There's a huge imbalance when it comes to resources and access. So if you want to create win-win, you need to have a high level of intentionality, that is indeed your intent, and you then can build around that. So for example, at the Hilton Foundation, nonprofits were offered low-interest loans. This is something called a program-related investment. It is indeed a win-win. The nonprofit receives below-market financing that they couldn't get from a bank or traditional lenders, and the foundation is able to meet its payout requirement and do it in a mission-related way. Win-win. Now, all of these experiences really culminated in 2018 when I launched the Ellen Fund with Ellen and Portia, focused on conservation for endangered species. This was announced on the Ellen Show, and the initial investment was a 12-acre campus in northern Rwanda focused on training the next generation of African conservationists. The intent was not only to train the next generation, but it was to build a sustainably built campus. It was to employ a large number of local workforce and to return the ecosystem to this land which had been agricultural. Now, this campus, which now exists, and if you're ever in northern Rwanda, please go and visit, was made possible because of this transformative partnership between these three organizations. The Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund, which is the owner and operator of the campus, the Ellen Fund, which was the lead investor in the campus, and Mass Design Group, which was both the designer as well as the general contractor. This was never a building project. This was to be a transformative endeavor which had equity baked into it from the start. And when I say that, how that came to be was that every decision was considered through a lens of equity. Who was being employed? Where were materials being sourced? Who was the project leadership? And ultimately, who would benefit from the campus? Well, I am very happy that the campus is a reality. But what we found out while thousands of workers were building the campus was that a global pandemic struck. And there was a volcanic eruption 100 miles away across the border in Goma, and supply chain breakdowns occurred, and overnight, the budget increased 35%. What saved this project is that there was that mutual agreement by the three parties I mentioned, the Fossey Fund, the Ellen Fund, and Mass, that the mission of the project is what we were focused on. And the mission was about equity. It was about the next generation. It was about preservation of wildlife and wild spaces, and that mattered enough to do exceedingly hard things to make this project happen. So 2 years ago, the Ellen campus opened, and since then, there have been over 60,000 visitors, 10,000 of whom are local school children. 12 students have been accepted in PhD programs and are living abroad, studying. Over 250,000 native species have been planted on the campus, and the ecosystem is returning. And in total, 2,400 local workers were employed, many of whom during COVID, to construct the campus, 600 of whom were women. And what I'm particularly proud about is that the women workers at the end of their work each had a bit of personal savings. So charity is nice, but I would like to work for justice, for transformation. And that can come about and happen because of intentional transformational partnerships.